There's basically only one leg exercise you actually and truly need that won't just give you massive and aesthetic legs, but that will be functional and useful in everyday life as well. And that one exercise is one of my favorite, the barbell squat. And today I'm gonna dive deep into how you can perform it, tricks, tips, forms, because it's such a useful and great exercise. All right, so let's begin. So there are two forms you can choose between on the barbell squat. The first one is the high bar squat. And the difference between a high bar squat and the other one, a low bar squat, is the position where you place the bar. On the high bar squat, you place it on your traps, on your upper traps. That will give you more of a vertical type of squat. You will not lean forward so much. On the low bar squat, it's lower down. It's on your back. It's like a, I don't know what it is, it like fits in place in your back. And it's a little more stable. But let's begin to explain high bar squat. So I began with high bar squat, and a lot of people do. But I would not say it's the best. So you want to perform high bar squats, you will just go under the bar and you will lay the bar right under upper traps here. And at the beginning, especially when you're doing a little heavier weight, it will hurt quite a lot. It will be quite uncomfortable. But that will fade away in a couple of weeks. And, the first year I was training, I used high bar squat, and I did 130 kilograms. But then I switched to low bar squat, and I'll explain later why. So if you want to do high bar squat, you will need more ankle mobility, because like I said, you're squatting more of a vertical line, more straight down. You cannot fake mobility with just leaning yourself forward. But you will need less shoulder mobility. You will not need to reach as far back with your shoulders to get a good grip on the bar. Low bar squat, I think, it fits a lot better on your back. It won't fall off or something like that. But you will need to lean forward more, which leads to you need a lot more shoulder mobility. And when I began with low bar squat, I remember my shoulders always hurt. You need to warm up the shoulders and stretch. But now after like 2 years, I just adapted to it. So let's choose between the both. I recommend high bar, just to get in touch, try a couple of times, and if you feel like you can put it behind your back, do low bar squat instead. Try that out instead. And just try it out both and see which one you like more. But most really good power lifters and squatters use low bars. Just keep that in mind. I would also recommend it. If you can go for low bar directly, yes, do it. Next very important step of the squat is the stance. How far away you will place your feet. And this is really just a preference. Just try it out, like with everything else, just try it out. Try out very wide stance, try out a very narrow stance. And you will just find the middle. For example, my friend, he stands really wide. I think that feels like where he gets the most strength. Well, I like to keep it quite a shoulder width, not too far away. Then another thing that a lot of people forget is how you angle your feet. Outwards, inwards, or just straight. The same thing there, just try it out and feel what fits you the best. Most people prefer going a little more outwards, gives them a little more stability. So, you now have found your stance. You are tilting in, out, or your toes a little bit, and you have the bar on your traps or on your back. When you do the squat, when you're going down, what you try to do is you need to think of your foot like it has 3 points. You have the toes, that's point 1 and 1, that's where the floor is touching, that's point number 1. Then you have the middle, and then you have the back, the ball of your foot. These 3 points should always be touching the floor when you do a squat. And what you will try to do is have the same pressure. Not too much pressure on the toes, not too much back, not too much in the middle. They should all have about, a 33% of your weight. They should hold 33% of your weight. And this will keep you balanced. If you have a little more pressure on the front, you will fall forward. If you have too much on the back, you will fall backwards. So try to keep it above your feet, balanced on all these 3. I've done a couple squats, and you feel like you're quite comfortable with them. Now comes the depth. That is a lot of people argument about the depth, but this is also quite important, especially if you want to be a power lifter or compete. The squat only counts if you did under 90 degrees or like parallel. It's better to go a little further down than to not be low enough. And how you can fix this is you could look at a mirror, but what I recommend is taking videos of yourself. Because if you look at a mirror all the time, you will get used to it, and you will always need to look at a mirror to get the perfect depth. So just take a video of yourself, like half back, like a side back view. You can see the depth real good. And then just do it every time you squat. Just do a short video, film one of your sets, and you will see if you need to go a little deeper, a little further up, and you just figure it out after a period of time. Another tip is to look forward. I myself did a long time is to look down, but look forward, or at one point, so you can hold your balance a lot easier. And one incredibly important thing is to take deep breaths. So you have the squat rack, you go under the bar, and before you lift it up, you take a deep breath and lift it with your legs, not with your back, with your legs. Take a deep breath, and then you have all the air in your chest. You push the air down to your stomach and really brace out as hard as you possibly can. Like if someone's going to punch you right in the stomach. This will keep your back straight and will just make you perform a lot better. It will keep your whole body tight. You will do the same thing after basically every single rep. If you're going heavy, you do one rep, up and down. Before you do another rep, you take nice and brace again. And then you go down and then you go up. And you really don't want to breathe in the middle of a rep. When you're going up again, so you go down and up, you can like push some air out. You can slowly poke out some air, but don't breathe during a rep. Incredibly important thing as well is doing the right warm-up. You need to slowly start with your wrist warm-up because there's quite a lot of weight on your wrist. Then you slowly do your shoulders. You warm up your shoulders with spinning them around, is using them. So you do your ankles, twisting them a little bit. And then of course you always do a warm-up with weight. First the bar, then maybe 40 kilograms, 60, 80, whichever level you're on, I would recommend jumping about 20 to 30 kilograms each time you do a set. So example, bar, then I do 60, then I do 90, then I do 120, and then I do 140 for example. So we jump between 20 and 30 kilograms for each warm-up set until you hit the top set weight. To protect your ankles, shoulders and wrists and all this, you can for example use wrist wraps. You put them around your wrist and will keep your wrist a lot more restrained. You won't flick it as much back. I can highly recommend that. Then something I would really recommend you investing in if you're actually serious about squatting and want to do it for a longer period of time is to buy some knee sleeves. I have a pair myself and they just keep your knees warm. They protect them. If you have some really stiff knee sleeves, you can do a little more weight. But I highly recommend it. It will keep your knees warm and it will protect them a lot more. I had some knee problems when I began squatting, but then I bought some knee sleeves, perfected my form, and since then I have not had a single problem. And a lot of people struggle with, like I said, ankle mobility, but it's easily fixed. It isn't quite easy fix, so just stretch your ankles, or just basically do more squats and try to go deeper every single time. You can also buy something called squat shoes. They're like tilted up and they will elevate your heel a little bit, and then you can then go down a little further. You can also do this yourself. The cheap version is just taking a small plate, like a 2.5 kilogram or 5 pound plate, put it under your heels, then you can go a little deeper down. But of course, I would just recommend stretching your ankles all the time, or every time you do squats, and after a little longer period of time, you don't need any squat shoes or anything like that. I know my friends have done that, so that's absolutely possible. The same thing for shoulders. It took me like a year to really get the totally pain away when I was doing a low bar squat, but slowly, a little more stretching, a little further, and it'll be all right. And if you really want to go heavy on squats, I recommend you buying a belt, like a real belt. So I have an old SPD belt, 13 millimeter thickness of the leather, and I absolutely love that thing. I've had it for a couple of years now. It's very hard to destroy. They can be quite expensive. I think a new one costs maybe $200, $300, but you can buy them cheap for used because they're such high quality. They basically, it's hard to destroy them. You can just take them. I bought mine for like $100 used and it was like new and it's still working absolutely fantastic. So invest in a good belt if you want to do some heavy squats. It will really make it easier for you to brace out that stomach. Of course, ensure your safety during the lift. It will make it easier. It will keep your whole body tight, and that will of course reduce the risk of injury. But what are you supposed to do if you want to start doing squats? I recommend starting out with a quite low weight, maybe just even the bar. I just getting the reps in, focusing on taking deep breaths, on looking straight forward, on going below parallel, and just getting a couple reps in each set. Do maybe 8 or 10 reps for 3-4 sets. And it will be quite exhausting because it's taking on you, you're using your whole body. And this will also build your stamina, of course, that's quite great. And even later on in your squat journey, you don't need to go to absolute failure. Because it's just you're using your whole body, and especially like a lot of powerlifters, they never go to failure on these because it's very easy to injure yourself if you go to absolute failure, if you don't have good form. And what you can do instead is maybe do a 5x5, where you like the 5th rep, and each set is maybe 2 or 3 repetitions away from failure. And then you just gradually use more weight, and you will just not be on the edge all the time, but you will still do 5 reps with a little more weight, and then 5 reps with a little more weight. It can take some time, but you don't need to go to failure. And one very important thing for you, what you also should practice before going really heavy and maxing out on squats, that is really fun, is to practice failing a squat. Because it can happen. You accidentally, something happens in the squat, you need to drop it, or something happens. You need to learn how to fail, so you don't break your back. Like there are a heck ton of videos out there where they break their back, it's because they're doing squats. So basically just take medium weight, put it on your back, and when you're further down, you just drop it off your back. Do it in your squat rack, just drop it on the floor. Just make sure there's no one behind you. So that's very important. So just try it out, and it will help you a lot. If you have any questions or anything you want to know about this squat, just let me know in the comment section, and I'm more than happy to help. Alright, thanks for watching, and begin squatting now, my friends.